Hey everyone, Tifa here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the U.S. Air Force Museum at the Wright Patterson Air Force Base. Since this is a national museum, it is an absolutely free admission, and this museum is a full day to get through. It is a huge museum. It has 4 different hangars. Each hangar has 2 sections, and then it also has a missile gallery and an air park. There are some flight simulators, and there is a theater that is an extra charge, but other than that, everything is absolutely free. I do recommend packing a picnic lunch, which you can have out in the Memorial Park on a good day. This museum is run by volunteers, and they are all veterans or retirees, and they are everywhere. So if you have any questions, they are super helpful, and they are also the first to greet you.
We now have some new airplanes that come in. We've had a Black Variety Special Operations Forces from Vietnam. That's arrived. We have a Liberty 125 aircraft that was an IED detector. That's come in. We've moved some stuff around so you can walk around these aircraft much better.
Okay.
The aircraft pretty much are open except for the presidential aircraft are still shut because of COVID. But we're opening back up.
Okay.
And our simulators are up and running as well as our theaters up and running too. If you want a copy of this map, this is a very long map to show where everything is. It's a donation. It helps the museum.
And yes, the donation is up to you as to what you choose to give, but the map itself is very helpful. It shows every single aircraft, and on the back it also lists every single aircraft that is in the museum. There is a one-page map printout that you can print out online, but it does not give you the names of all the aircrafts. The museum is broken down into the early years, World War II, Southeast Asia War, Korean War, the Cold War, the Missile Gallery, Research and Development, the Presidential Gallery, and then the Air Park, which is outside. And the museum is about more than just aircraft. This display about the Enigma code and breaking the Enigma code with the U.S. allies was so important to ending the war. The museum also displays the importance of women in the Air Force, from keeping them flying back home to taking on larger roles as the war went on, including the WAC, the WASP, the Wing Angels, and further on, the pilots of the Air Force. Director of WASP, Jacqueline Cochran, an American pilot, she pioneered women's aviation and was a prominent racing pilot. The first woman to break the sound barrier, May 18th of 1953. The first woman to fly a bomber across the Atlantic. At the time of her death, held more speed, altitude, and distance records than any male or female pilot in aviation history. Women in flight, the pilots of the U.S. Air Force, were limited to non-combat status, and it wasn't until the 1990s that they changed that to allow women to fly in combat. And of course, there were celebrities who contributed to the Air Force during the war, like Major Glenn Miller and even Walt Disney. museum has one of the only B-2 bombers on public viewing. The Memphis Belle B-17 Flying Fortress. She completed 25 combat missions with the 324th Bomb Squadron, 91st Bomb Group. Damage scored several times during missions. The crew returned home heroes and went on to tour selling war bonds. There was a Hollywood movie made to document the 25 successful bombing missions that were made by these brave men. The Tuskegee Airmen, while not the only African Americans to serve in World War II, they became a symbol of pride for many Americans. When the U.S. Air Force became a separate service in 1947, it benefited directly from the experience of the Tuskegee Airmen. The United States Air Force was the first service to erase the color line, thanks largely to the pioneering efforts and courageous legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. In April of 2006, the U.S. Congress voted to award the Tuskegee Airmen a Congressional Gold Medal. They do also have several different presidential planes, Air Force One of the times, depending on the president, and the different items that were carried on the Air Force One and the insignia that was printed on all of them. They also have a few Apollo modules, which is crazy to see now that we are going to space during SpaceX time. There is so much to see in this museum that I don't think we got through half of it in the time we allotted. I do recommend taking a full day for this museum just to be able to take it all in without being rushed. And thanks for joining me today. If you could hit that like button and don't forget to hit subscribe as a new content creator, that would really help me out. And I will see you soon.